I'm going to give you everything that you need to know about how to sign more clients using cold email. And the reason why you can trust me is because I book 3 to 5 meetings every single day with 6 and 7 figure business owners. In the last 30 days, I've contracted over $43,000 in revenue and collected 30K in cash, as you can see here, just from cold outbound. So this does not include YouTube, anything like that. And I have helped a ton of agency owners do the exact same thing as me. So I'm going to give you the scripts, the email setup, the deliverability checklist, the leads, the automations, and everything that you need to make your agency an extra $10,000 to $20,000 a month using cold email. Okay, so there are 3 steps that we're going to use to find qualified leads. Then we're going to go over the email setup, the automations, the scripts, and then I have a bonus at the end, which you can stick around for. All right. So the first thing you need to identify is, where does your niche hang out online? Okay. So some examples for this are, if you're looking for realtors, you need to find them on something like Zillow, right? If you're looking for gyms, you can probably find them on Google, Google Maps, Yellow Pages, things like this. If you're looking for coaches, easy to find those people on Instagram, on Twitter, right? If you're looking for recruiters, you can find them on LinkedIn. So you need to understand where your niche is, because in order to find their contact information, we need to know where to go. Okay. So for the recruitment example, we would go to LinkedIn, for example, right? So what we could do, we could just see this Marilyn Beck, right? And what we'd be able to do is we can find her profile here for LinkedIn, which is also going to be helpful. And we can also find her website, which is going to be super, super important, which I'm going to jump into why in a second. Okay. So this is how we find the decision makers. The next step, right, is we need to actually extract their data. Okay. So there's 2 different ways you can do this. One is with databases and one is using Chrome extensions. Okay. And I'm going to explain both of them. So with Chrome extensions, okay, the beauty of this is when you are getting leads, it's not publicly available to everyone. Okay. So if you go into one of these databases, it's going to be very, very cheap and very, very easy to get thousands and thousands of leads. But the issue is that if you're taking a list from Apollo, it's likely that they're getting cold emailed like 20 times a day. Okay. So if you want to get the highest booking rate and the highest amount of appointments possible, using Chrome extensions and having a VA manually do this is going to work the best. Okay. So the way that you do this is you need to initially find their website, okay? And then there's multiple tools that you can use to extract the emails. So we can see here, this LinkedIn person, we're looking for Marilyn Beck. So what we do is when we go onto this website and we would open a Chrome extension like Snob.io, for example, if we just open this up again, we're going to be able to find all the emails that are attached to this domain. As we can see here, Marilyn at recruitingconnection.org, that is going to be the person that we're looking for. So we found her email. This is the CEO. So we just copy this, add this to our list, etc. Okay. And you can just go through LinkedIn and actually find these people, right? The way that you actually do a search on LinkedIn is you want to go to filters, right? And you check off the location that you want them in. You check off the industry that you want them in. You make sure that they're a CEO, owner, or founder, right? This is how you find people on LinkedIn. Again, depending on your niche, there's going to be a different best way of doing it. But the important thing is to get to their website, because once you get their website, you can use all these different Chrome extensions to find their actual email. Okay. Now note that manual, like I was saying before, it will always perform databases because the leads you are getting are semi-exclusive. Okay. Now, the third thing is automating this process. So you have a manual way of actually scraping leads, okay? Or if you're using database, this won't apply to you, right? But I would recommend doing it this way because this is going to get you the best results, okay? So the way that you automate this is you build an SOP for VAs to follow, okay? And this has to be extremely detailed, and I mean like extremely detailed, or it's not going to work properly and they're not going to scrape the right way. You're going to get a bunch of shitty leads and it's not going to work, okay? So this is the SOP that I built for my company. You can pause the screen, look at it, but like as you can tell here, it's super, super granular, super, super detailed, and literally like it tells them the buttons that they need to click so they cannot go wrong. Okay. Like you're not hiring like a super talented person here. The goal is just to get someone to like execute actions. Okay. And if they can just follow these steps, they're going to be successful, but it's on you to actually make this process, figure out what extension is going to work the best for you, figure out like the most efficient way to scrape leads, and then you will just give them this and pay them $3 an hour. Okay. Now, the way that you can find these people, there's 2 main sites. Number one is Upwork. If you don't have a lot of money to hire someone, then I would use that because it's free. But if you have the money, it's going to be a lot better to use onlinejobs.ph. You're going to get way more applicants, way faster, and like less time on your end. I would highly recommend using the second one. But if you don't have the budget to spend like $70 a month on VAs, then I would go use Upwork. Okay. Now, the next thing we are going to do is how to actually set up the emails. Now, this as unsexy as it is, this is the most important part, because if you get this wrong, you're going to go straight to spam and you're never going to get success with cold email. You're never going to get clients with it. Okay. So there's 3 records that we need to set up in order for this to work properly, which if you're familiar with cold email, you'll be familiar with these. Okay. This is DKIM records, DMARC records, SPF records. We essentially need to attach these to the domains of the actual email accounts that we will be sending from, or else we're not going to be like trusted by Google when we send out our emails or by the email servers. So we need to have these in place, okay, for every single domain that we set up for all the emails. And I'll go over the infrastructure in a second, right? But if this sounds confusing, trust me, like I've spent like 16 months building out this entire thing and running cold email for myself. And I have built out an entire playbook that includes every single script, process, SOP, test, like literally everything that I ran across over 10 industries just using outbound, specifically for marketing agencies using cold outbound, that has made me over $100,000 in the last 4 months. So if you want me to actually come into your marketing agency and help you individually set this thing up so that there's no room for error, like literally you cannot fail, and so you don't have to spend months of trial and error trying to make this work, there's going to be a link in the description, like transparently. You can go talk to me or one of my consultants one-on-one, and I'm going to show you how our strategies work and our secret results for success. Okay. Now, the actual structure of these emails. Okay. Once you've gone ahead and looked at that, right? This is what the structure should actually look like. Okay. So you're going to have 2 domains, right? And these domains are going to be like your company.com, right? Now, this shouldn't be your normal domain if you're using your actual real domain for cold email. And if that starts going to spam, like even though you follow this, you're not going to have that issue, right? But if you start going to spam on your main email, like it's best not to risk that, because then your main domain is screwed, right? So you're going to have to buy these from GoDaddy, right? So like an example of one of my like fake domains would be like gojkdagency.com, right? So that would be one example, or like thejkdagency.com would be another example of a cold email domain that I have. Okay. Now, under these 3 domains, you need to have 3 email accounts max. Okay. You don't want to do more than that, again, or you run into issues like with potentially getting banned. Okay. So then you're just going to have like 3 different names at the domain.com, right? So for example, one of my burner domains is thejkdagency.com. So maybe I would have Josh at thejkdagency.com, Joshua at thejkdagency.com, and Jay Dewick at thejkdagency.com, right? So those would be like 3 examples of what I would set up for this, okay? And each email, you want to send a maximum of 6 new contacts per day. So you're reaching out to 6 different people per day per account. And then you're also going to have 18 follow-ups per day. So that would mean you're sending 6 initial emails, 6 first follow-ups, 6 second follow-ups, and 6 third follow-ups. So in total, each email is going to be sending out 24 cold emails per day. We're also going to have it set up so it sends 25 warm emails per day, and that we're going to set up using Instantly, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay. Now, you should purchase your domains from GoDaddy. I know a lot of people are trying to purchase them from Namecheap and things like that, and Cloudflare. It is like slightly barely cheaper. And it's not worth it because it's not as trusted with like the servers. Again, it's this whole thing about like there's this whole algorithm, right, that's basically trying to hunt you down for doing cold emails. So if you are using things like GoDaddy, you're going to have a higher chance of not going to spam, which is what we want. Okay. You can buy your email accounts from Google Workspace, or you can buy them from Outlook. Either one is fine. But I'm going to be talking about Workspace, right? And you can go to this video that explains how to set up the 3 records that I was talking about earlier. You need to do this for all the domains that you buy, okay? So there's just going to be a link here if you want access to this slideshow. It's going to be in probably a school community that I have. You can just go to the description for that, okay? Now, next, automation. So once you have your email account set up, we need an automation tool to send out all of our emails completely on autopilot so that you can actually focus on the business, okay? So I have personally found Instantly AI to work, like I say, the best. It's the only one I've ever used, and I've had 0 issues with it. So I'm sure things like Smartlead, things like that work as well, but I use Instantly and it works fine. Okay. So to connect your emails to Instantly, what you're going to want to do, and I'll actually go into Instantly here real quick, right? So what you're going to want to do, we'll just wait for this to load and then we'll log in. And you are going to go to create an account, right? That's the first thing you need to do, is you obviously need to create an account. I don't know why this disappeared. Okay. That is not what I, that's not. So you're going to have to create an Instantly account, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to go over here to, not campaigns. You're going to go to email accounts, and then you're going to click add new, and you're just going to select Google, and then you're going to select yes, IMAP has been enabled. And if it's not enabled, what you need to do, I don't know why this shrunk here, but you're going to click enable IMAP, and then you're just going to go enable that for your email account. And then you're going to log into the actual email account that you bought. Okay. Now, that is basically how you set up Instantly, and how you connect your email to Instantly. So that's pretty simple. And then you are going to repeat that process for every single one of your accounts. Okay. Now, after you have added all your accounts to Instantly, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you have enabled warm up, right? When you actually connect an account, your account is going to appear right like in that section. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to enable warm up by clicking on this green flame right here, which it will normally be gray, but you're going to click on it and then it will turn green. Okay. And then you're going to go into the settings of that email account and you're going to adjust the warm up settings so that they look like this, where you're increasing by 1 per day at a maximum of 25. And then you're going to enable all these things and move the open rate, the spam protection, and the mark important to 100, and then adjust the campaign limit to 24 emails per day per all accounts. Okay. And that is basically how you set up Instantly. Now, once you have actually warmed up your accounts for 2 weeks, you can actually start to send out emails. If you start sending out emails as soon as you add the accounts to Instantly, you're going to go to spam. Okay. So to do this, we need to create a campaign inside of Instantly. So I'm actually going to go all the way back here and I'm going to show you how we actually do this, right? So you're going to go over to campaigns, right? And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to click add new. Okay. And then you are going to name your campaign. So you can just call this whatever you want, right? Then we're going to go to continue. Then you're going to go to sequence. You're going to add your script here for your subject line, which I'm going to give you some scripts in a second. You're going to put the script in the, like for the body copy, and then you're going to add your follow-ups like this. So we'll have three different follow-ups. Okay. And you'll put your follow-up scripts here, follow-up 1, follow-up 2, and follow-up 3. Okay. And you can leave these at 1 day in between. Okay. Now, when you are actually putting your script inside of here, it's important to use something called Spintax. Okay. And what this is I'm going to show you in a second. So let's use an example sentence. So this is an example sentence right here. Okay, so this is an example sentence. Now, what Spintax is it's essentially when this is sending out emails, if it's the exact same email every single time, there's a high likelihood of it going to spam. Okay, so in order to prevent that, right, we do a lot of things to prevent spam, right? So what we would do is we would put these curly brackets here. We would type in random, and then we would put this is, right? We can change this instead of like using the word this, we would use the word like here, right? And what this does is this randomly selects either this or here to use inside of this sentence. So it would switch between this is an example sentence right here to here is an example sentence. That wouldn't make sense. So this is an example sentence versus here is an example sentence, right? It's basically the same thing, but you're using slightly different words so that like it looks like a different email, right? And you want to add as many of these as possible. So we can even go to preview here. We can see here is an example sentence. And if we go here a bunch of times, it says here again, now this is an example sentence, right? So it's just swapping between the two different things, even though it means the same thing, right? So having those inside of your copy is going to be really, really important to make sure that you do not go to spam. Okay. Now, once you've added the Spintax, you're going to add the email accounts that you want to use. Okay. So you do this by going to options. All right. And then once this loads here, you're going to click this button here under accounts to use, and you're just going to select here the email accounts that you want to use. So just pick a bunch of random ones, right? Obviously, you're not going to have this many probably. But yeah, you're going to select the accounts that you want to use for cold email. All right. Then what you are going to go ahead and do is you are going to set the daily limit here to the number of email accounts that you have selected times 24, because that's how many emails we send per account. Okay. So let's see, we can see we have 7 here. So 6 plus 1 more. So we would do 7 times 24. I'm not going to do that, but that's the number that you put in here. Okay. Once you've done that, when you're ready to launch, you can click launch. If you are just setting this up now, you're not ready to launch yet, you haven't waited the 2 weeks, you just click save and then it's ready to use later. But we're not going to do that because I don't need this. Okay. And then you're just going to launch when you're ready. All right. So once you have gone ahead and done that, right, we need to actually build the scripts. So there are 3 parts to your scripts that you need to have down. So number 1 is the subject line. Number 2 is the body copy. And number 3 is your follow-ups. I'm going to give you examples for all of them. Okay. So the goal of the subject line, again, is not to sell anything. The goal is to get them to open the email. Okay. People don't want to open sales emails. So we need to be vague and blend in with what they would want to open essentially. So you're going through your email, you're probably going to want to open emails from like a client or a prospect or a friend or something like this. Okay. So here are some examples that are vague that people will like always open. Okay. So quick question for name, quick question for company name, query for name, interested in company name, right? Like just very vague things. They're like, okay, well, I'm not going to risk not knowing what this email is, right? So that's the whole point of the initial subject line. Okay. Now some scripts for the body copy. Okay. The goal of this is we want to get them a reply. We want to get them to reply if they're interested. Okay. So that we can send them a calendar link once they respond. So we'll send an email like saying, basically say yes if you would be open to talking more, and then they'd say yes, and then we send them a calendar link, right? we should not send a calendar link in the first email, as this is going to cause deliverability issues and it's going to cause resistance to basically read the email. Like, you see a calendar link right when you open the email, it's like, okay, I'm done with this, not reading the rest of it, right? So here are some simple examples that have worked pretty well. So this is an example for brokers. This is an example for ecom. I'm not going to go ahead and read these right now, but if you want to pause it and just read these, then feel free to do that, okay? Now, the goal of the follow-ups is just to get the prospect to reply to the initial email. Here are some examples of, some follow-ups that you can use. I almost gave away my bonus there. So follow-up 1 is, hey, first name, just wanted to make sure this didn't get buried, right? So this is just bumping it up, right? Follow-up 2 is just, it's going on a different angle. So now we're talking about like more proof, basically. So just thought I'd let you know, we recently helped a realtor fill up his calendar, gain an additional 3 to 5 leads every single day. Would love to tell you about how we were able to get such incredible results. Okay. And then again, this is just going based off a case study. And then number 3 is like bringing some humor into it. So try to reach out a few times. Must be one of these things why you're not reaching out. Getting more customers isn't a priority for you. You're interested but busy, so haven't responded yet, or you've fallen and cannot get up. So let me know and I'll send help, right? So this basically just coming at the, like, getting a response by going from different angles, right? So like confidence, just a pump, and then like humor, right? So you can try multiple different things inside of here. All right. Now, as promised, I have a bonus for you for sticking to the end. So what I have found after sending over 100,000 outreach, and I'm not joking, I've sent over 100,000 outreach, is that the best way, right, to get clients with outbound is to use personalization, but also use it at scale without taking any time to go do everything yourself, because that's going to take ages and you can't scale. Okay. So the one way that this can be done is I have a strategy where you can use ChatGPT to write personalized first lines for you with every single email that you send, which I'm going to link inside of this document as well. I'm also using a system right now that's booking me about 3 calls a day with automated looms, and I'm also going to give you a full breakdown on how that works and how I use that strategy as well. And again, this slideshow can be accessed in my Skool community along with a ton of resources that you can access. Now, again, if you want the step-by-step, super clear-cut guide, help for me to basically set this up entirely for your company, first link in the description. If not, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.